Hey you guys, and welcome back to the Designer's Room where we go beyond the lash line. My name is Uni and I'm a lash design mentor as well as mother. Today we have some really exciting topics to talk about. I actually polled this topic on my story, and as you can possibly tell by the title, we are going to be talking about two different things. I realized that I asked about client retention without specifying if we're talking about retaining clients or if we're talking about lash retention. So I have a few questions for both topics, and I feel like this episode will give you a brief insight into possibly how both affect one another as well. I did collect some of the most common questions that I've received about lash retention as well as client retention. Let's start off with what each means to me. Client retention, as in retaining clients, is a huge part of why I do the things I do within this space of lashing. I provide lash designs and make every client feel seen for who they are as an individual. And when you make a client feel seen, they kind of feel like they don't want to go anywhere else. So I can say that the core of the practices that we provide and the core of the way that we practice is rooted in making sure we retain clients through making our clients feel seen. Now, as far as lash retention goes, I feel like I only really struggled with lash retention in the beginning stages of my career because I just didn't have the knowledge that I have today. And that just goes into having the proper practices to ensure that your lashes last. The number one question that I received was, why aren't my clients coming back? So that's a loaded question, of course, because it could be a multitude of things. But the number one thing that I see when clients decide to not go back is that they don't receive lashes that look to their standards. I myself personally have received lash services in which I was like, I'm never coming back, just based off of the first lash set that I received. So I feel like that is the number one thing. And especially when we have clients that continuously come back and they tell us their horror stories, 9 times out of 10, they are just dissatisfied with the lashes. One thing that I hear a lot is they look overpowering. They just look big, they're bulky, they're too curled, there's no styling involved. So I feel like that could be one thing. When you are providing lash services that don't feel unique to your clients, they don't feel obligated to return back to you, especially if you're not doing them to a high standard. So if you're going to be doing just regular sets, the regular sets that you have to do have to at least meet a standard for them. And if they do not, then you become replaceable. And that's just the reality of the situation, honestly. Then I believe lash retention is the next thing that affects clients from coming back, is how long their lashes last. I myself, again, have had my own fair share of experiences where I've got my lashes done and they're falling out within, so many days. But I think because I have the knowledge of how lash extensions work, I know that this is not okay. And also within a couple of days, I feel like this pain in my lashes, which a lot of clients, if they don't come back and they experience this, they're not going to bring this up to you. But this all has to do with your isolation practices too. I feel like I've had too many experiences myself being an actual lash designer, going to other lash artists and experiencing lashes that stick together, lashes that are just not properly applied. So when you affect someone's eyes, like people see out of their eyes, they also have to do a lot with their eyes. They don't want to come back. They're never going to get lash extensions again, not from you or from anyone else. The next question is, does price affect client retention? I feel like price only affects client retention when you are not giving them the standard that meets the price that you're asking for. This has nothing to do with bargaining your prices, lowering your prices to meet bargain shopper clients. No, that has nothing to do with this. What matters is that you can't ask someone to pay $150 for something that doesn't last even for 5 days. One, you cannot ask someone to pay $200 for something that they can get up the street for $100. You cannot ask someone to pay $175 to receive lashes that do not flatter them. You need to price your sets to match your skill. And 9 times out of 10, I'm always suggesting to amp up your skill, amp up what it is that you provide so you can be able to charge luxury prices. If anything, high-end prices are going to attract clients who are going to be extremely loyal to you because they have a high standard for their services, and their lash extensions are no exception. With that being said, make sure that your lashes last. Make sure you're doing client facial analysis. Make sure you're actually giving out lash designs and not just generic, classic, hybrid volume lash sets. This is how you don't have to worry so much about your price, more so how are you skilled in this space of lashing? What makes a client feel like they need to come back to you? So when you talk about need, let's just break it down. You need things that are essential for you. Let's break that down to essential and for you. If you're providing your clients a lash design that is for them, they feel like it is essential because it is for them. They can't get it anywhere else because you are the only person providing a lash design that is curated for them. When you give your client the experience of seeing themselves as the best version of themselves or better than they've ever seen themselves, you have unlocked a completely different realm of loyalty between you and that client, because now that client feels like she has to seek you out to be and feel exactly how she felt when you gave her the lash design of her dreams. They feel like they need to come back, because one thing that I like to emphasize to anyone that I mentor is that you want your clients to just feel like an elevated version of themselves, not them plus lashes. Become an essential for your client. Become an essential service. Become something she can't live without. For instance, me, I can't go without my toes and my nails being done. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's an apocalypse outside. I need my nails done. Okay, that apocalypse, all right. You get what I'm trying to say though, but there are certain things that I just cannot go without because I know the version of myself without them and I don't necessarily absolutely love it. For instance, I get my nails done because my own natural nails, they tend to be more on like the brittle side, and I use my hands and my hands are in people's faces. So having my nails done is an essential to me, you know? It's not optional. It's no longer became optional. Of course, getting your nails done is not as essential as having food in your refrigerator and things like that, but it's became an essential to me in my way of life, in the way that I make my money, in the way that I sustain my income. Believe it or not, you can create the same essential for your clients if you position your business in a certain way. I've been recently working with my latest group of mentees, and I've been brainstorming ways in which their business can be an essential for the next person so that they have a niche that is very hard to replicate. For instance, I have mentees who have a clientele of a more mature age, and people who are more mature feel like they want to look their most youngest selves. So her lash designs are rooted in having effects that make the client feel and look younger. So these lash designs are specifically crafted to provide youthfulness as the final effect. So her service has now become an essential for a particular niche. Next question, should I follow up with clients who stop booking? I think that you should have already followed up with the client after she came and got the last service done, whether that's a fill or a full set and she just didn't have another appointment. So after about a week, 10 days, maybe after your initial check-in, because you want to check in after the first 2 days to see how they're doing. And if everything is well and she still hasn't booked another appointment by the 8th to 10th day thereafter that appointment, I would reach out to her and ask her if she would like to book her next appointment. And usually at this time, the client will inform you of whatever it is that's preventing them from booking an appointment, or it kind of just slipped their minds and you have retained their business by just reminding them and popping in. Either way, checking in with them at that 8th or 10th day gives them the space and room to be transparent if it was the service the retention, or maybe it's even like financial hardship. You just don't know what it could be. But the client 9 times out of 10 will be transparent in that moment if you follow up that additional time if they have not scheduled another appointment. This is just a general tip that I feel every luxury lash business should implement. It will also make your client feel seen and taken care of. And sometimes just getting that text reminder will be just the little nudge and push to her becoming an actual loyal client. Now it's time for lash retention questions. I know, it's so crazy. I had asked that question on my story, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it was one of the other, and it's just me. I just thought it would be really dope to just combine the two because honestly, I was confused. Let's dive into the second half of this episode where we're going to be talking about lash retention. And this is where I put on my science goggles and my science jacket because it just boils down to the science of things. The first question that has been the most popular: why aren't my clients' lashes lasting? It could be a multitude of things. I feel like one thing that I think everyone needs to stop doing is stop looking at the internet or people on the internet and asking them what products they use and then going and investing in that product thinking it's going to work for you. I would not go ask somebody who is fair skinned, what foundation color do you use? And then go get that foundation color. I know she uses foundation. I need a foundation that works for me. The same thing with adhesives. And I get this question so many times through the DM. What adhesive do you use? I never get the question, what adhesive do you use? And what is your general temperature and humidity in your room? Because that's where the science comes in. Your humidity and your temperature needs to be at a certain degree and percentage in order for the adhesive to work. At the end of the day, if you have an adhesive that is compatible with your environment, the adhesive is going to work. We need to stop searching around for what works for everyone else and find things that work for you. In addition to that, speed is another determinant. You cannot get an adhesive that is a 0.3 second dry time if you feel like you're still a beginner. If you feel like you're still a beginner, that adhesive is going to dry as you're in the beginning stages. What I'm trying to say is, as a beginner, you don't have like the greatest speed. So you need a moderate speed adhesive. You don't need the best glue that works for the best lash artist because at the end of the day, you just got into this field and there's a possibility that your speed is not exactly where that other person's speed is. So there are 3 things that you want to consider: humidity, temperature, and speed. Once you could be honest with yourself first. Write these things down. If you feel like your speed is 1 second, okay, 1 second, 1.5 seconds, whatever the case may be, write that down. 1. Put your hygrometer. Your hygrometer is basically a device that tells you the humidity percentage in your working space as well as the temperature. You want to take your hygrometer and put it wherever it is that you're working and leave it there for a good 24 hours so it can get an accurate reading of whatever your temperature and humidity is in your room. So once you have your working speed, okay, 1 second, your humidity, all right, 50%, and your temperature, all right, 74, then you have all that you need to go find the best adhesive that works for those 3 standards. If you're doing all that and you feel like your client's lashes are still not lasting, it may have something to do with application. And when I say application, if you are taking the lash, dipping it in adhesive, and then wiping it off and then putting it on the lash, you are dipping it in what it needs to stick, wiping off what it needs to stick, and expecting it to stick. It's not going to work. I see a lot of people do this. And these are the people who tend to struggle with retention when they are dipping, wiping, and applying. If you feel like your adhesive is getting gunky, replace that glue dot. Replace it. Replace it every 15 to 20 minutes. If your humidity is higher, which humidity is what makes the glue cure or makes it cure faster, replace your adhesive sooner. Do a slow dip into the adhesive and out of the adhesive slowly. If you dip in fast and remove fast, it's going to pick up a gunk of adhesive, no matter if brand new glue dot or if it is a older glue dot. You need to be precise in the way that you're handling this adhesive. This is the most crucial component in the actual application process is the way you handle the adhesive, from dipping it to taking it out to then applying it in a timely manner that is compatible with your adhesive and your working speed. I know that was a mouthful. And let's see, what is outside of that that can affect retention? Honestly, if you are doing those two things, then it may boil down to your client's aftercare. Is your client one coming in with oils or mascaras on her eyes? Because I feel aftercare doesn't just start when she gets the lashes. I feel like aftercare is something that you notify the client of during the pre-booking process, so she knows that her own natural lashes have to be prepared to receive this service. And in her doing so, she's not going to apply oil to her lashes. She's not going to come with mascara on her eyes. There are certain things she's not going to do to lead up to the appointment to make sure the lashes are going to stay. If it is in your practice to wash the lashes before you do the service, I think that will definitely diminish the probability that the lash extensions, at least when you had applied them, would be affected by any external factor. What happens after on the client's behalf, if she decides to wet her lashes immediately after getting them done, or if she's in a steam room or sauna room within the first 24 hours after the appointment. It is your responsibility to let your client know about client aftercare. And after that, you should be on the same page as your client. And sometimes clients don't listen, but I really have a no tolerance policy as far as keeping up with your lashes. I feel lashes are a luxury service. And with that being said, it requires maintenance as any other luxury investment would. And I personally will only want to service clients who are interested in upkeeping with their luxury investment. So that's just something that you may want to think about to incorporate within your practice. How much is retention my fault versus the client's? Glad that we ended the last question on the note that we did, so we can expand a little bit more. I feel like as long as you're doing all of what I mentioned in my answer to question 1, as far as lash retention, I feel like the rest is on your client to ensure that the lashes are going to last. And if your client is not maintaining the very simple aftercare instructions, then you can say that maybe 90% of it is her fault. I mean, it's a collaborative effort. You can't apply lash extensions and then your client goes and rubs olive oil on her face and then any of that be your fault, unless you are not giving them the education that they need about the service that they just received. Does humidity and adhesive really matter that much? Of course it does. Because if we go down to the main ingredient in this adhesive, cyanocrylacrylate. See, I have been in this industry for over 7 years now, and I still can't say it. Cyanocrylacrylate. Hold on, how do I? Cyanocrylate. Ooh, no, let me search it up on Google. This is how you say it.
Cyanoacrylate.
Cyanoacrylate. Hold on.
Cyanoacrylate.
Cyanoacrylate. So that ingredient, what basically allows it to cure is the presence of humidity in the atmosphere. So the more humidity that's in the atmosphere, the sooner the adhesive is going to cure. And with that being said, if you have high humidity and you're not working fast, then your lashes can appear that they're going to stick to the natural lash. But because most or majority of that adhesive had already dried before you had put it on the lash, it's going to fall off sooner. So I don't believe that humidity is a myth. I believe that it's extremely true to ensuring that your client's lashes are going to last. Our last question is, what are 3 things every lash artist should be doing to improve lash retention? Aftercare. I feel like there was a year or a couple years, even to this present moment, where I stress aftercare so much. I don't think I stress it so much because now I don't have it as a separate thing outside of my services. It's already included in the service. If you're receiving a lash set, you are going to receive an aftercare kit because there is no way that aftercare is optional. When you present aftercare as an add-on, you give your clients the idea that lash aftercare is optional, and it's not. And it's not, you know? I get if they purchase a kit somewhere else or something like that. It's like you getting a Birkin bag and then they be like, you can go ahead and get the dust bag from Fendi, or you can go get it from Chanel or somewhere. If you want the dust bag, it's going to be extra. They ain't doing that. You shouldn't do it. You're a luxury lash service. Don't put the aftercare separate. I on this heel about that. The next thing, compatibility with your adhesive. Find that adhesive that works phenomenal with your environment and definitely stick to it. Oh, another thing, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this. I am anti-primer. I am anti-sealant. I feel like there was a point in time when I used to try to use those things, but I believe bare and naked lashes are the best type of lashes to lash on. Honestly, the best retention that I've ever had has been on bare and naked lashes. So if you are a primer, potion, girly, sealant, concoction, all that other stuff, the mister and all that, you're doing 5, 6, 7 things to ensure your clients' lashes last. Don't do that. Please just don't do it anymore. I feel like a lot of, issues can be avoided when we stop trying to add extras and we just get to the nitty gritty. We get to like the raw and like the science of things. And when we break it down to the science of what it actually is, I promise you, you will have exactly what you're looking for. And that's great retention. The third and final thing would be to just have high quality products. Like if you are in any way, from the lashes you use to the adhesive that you use, if you are in any way trying to bargain on your adhesives, bargain on your lashes, you're going to get cheap results. Cheap results don't last. High quality results last. So invest in high quality products and you're going to have high quality retention. I think that's all for today, you guys. I am super excited for you guys to take these little tips and stuff that I've given you and gems that I've dropped during this episode and apply them to your business. Please let me know in the comments if anything really stuck out for you or any questions that you may have. I am really shooting these episodes as the weeks come and as you guys suggest things that you guys want to hear. But it's always fun being here in the designer's room where we can talk and be honest and transparent. I can be as animated as I would like to be. And you guys hearing me on the other side, I love you guys so much. Thank you for the support. I will see you all back in the designer's room. Take care.